Right, and we start off on the BECE, where majority of the students concluded the exam over the weekend on Friday. We know that a paper is expected tomorrow that is Arabic. So as the exams concludes, we've been focusing on some other matters across the country, and concerns are emerging over the intensity of the examination timetable. A section of stakeholders are calling for a review of the 5-day period for writing 10 subjects. They argue it places excessive pressure on students. Others, however, maintain that the extension may not necessarily solve the root problems. Here's a report by Samuel Yeboah Adams.
Since its introduction in 1990, the Bece has served as the gateway for placement into senior high schools across Ghana. Over the years, the examination has evolved with changes in curriculum, assessment method and grading systems. But in contemporary time, the number of subjects written in a day has remained largely unchanged. Some stakeholders, however, argue the 5-day period within which candidates are expected to write their papers tends to put pressure on them. The Executive Secretary of EduWatch, Kofi Asare, is one of the educational think tanks pushing the argument.
The structure of BEC that was relevant pre-free senior high school is no longer relevant today. So it is important that we revise BEC to speak to its current and continued relevance, which is an examination that determines school placement, and not an examination that determines who will go to secondary school.
For him, it is high time policymakers consider effective measures to alleviate the pressure of the candidate.
We've called for a pulling down of the subject from 10 or 11 to 4. Maths, English, general science, and then a general paper which contains all the other subjects, such that students will not focus on a few subjects. And then with this 4, we reduce the stress level, we reduce the BEC budget of about 200 million a year by about half, and we reduce time and effort spent in doing 6 days of BEC.
For the General Secretary of the National Council of Parent-Teacher Association, PTA, Gabson Kofi Raphael, the argument is flawed.
I just have a challenge with that whole argument that because they don't have much time to look, inadequate preparation leads to poor performance. If you are adequately prepared, they can even put you in the hottest space. What is the brain is there to produce it. So I believe that issue is a minor. Let's not talk about the symptoms. Let's talk about the root causes of the whole issues. Because currently, the students are writing maximum 9 papers, and they are combining major and minor. So technically, that whole argument is flawed.
But what are the concerns of candidates? And does the 2 paper a day put any pressure on them?
The subject combination this year, I can admit that it's very good. Yes, so it doesn't really put pressure on we students. Yeah.
Yes, a lot of pressure. I feel like if we could use a span of 2 weeks to write the papers, and we could write 1 paper in each day, it would be much better.
For prep, maybe you feel anxious, you feel nervous, you have 2 subjects, and maybe the realization hits you like you're not prepared to for all those subjects at once.
If it extends to 10 days, then people will get enough time to rest, revise, and cover a whole lot of topics.
Some headmasters agree that the timetable is tight.
Those of us who manage the students have a lot of reasons why it has to be spaced. In fact, I dare say it's a contributing factor to the more practices. How do you have 2 papers in a day and you run it for 1 week? Students suffer a lot. Issues of revision, ill health. It's even a factor. If a student falls sick today and has a paper tomorrow, how are you going to manage that student to be able to write one's paper? So just as they are managing WAEC, the WASI examination, where students are made to write exams over a period of time, I think it's long overdue. They should extend this to cover the basic examination as well.
Dennis Esrifi is the parent to a candidate. He also believes the duration of the exams needs to be adjusted.
If we holistically look at the thing, irrespective of the fact that this is how we've been doing it for some time, we can think through and adjust and test that one too and see if it helps.
As the exams officially end on Monday, discussions are ongoing whether Ghana's examination structure still meets the needs of today's student or whether it is high time for policymakers to consider a new approach.